All right, welcome into the Ryan Ripken show, and I don't know who the heck that is. Oh, I think we do. Rocco? We'll save it for a second here while we do it. Welcome to the Ryan Ripken Show. It's episode 65. A lot going on here for tonight, by the way. Let me give you a quick rundown of what is happening on this Thursday. March Madness has officially begun. We'll obviously dive into and see if your brackets are still perfect. But the bigger stories that people want to focus on, at least that we're going to dive more extensively in, Ohtani situation. If you haven't heard about that, you're going to hear about it tonight. That's sweeping the baseball nation. If sweeping Birdland is the recent news of the Orioles rotation, and a player that made the team that's putting everyone into a frenzy, well, somewhat. And then obviously we're going to talk some Ravens. We have a special guest coming on here at 6:30 to talk about some Ravens, talk about the Maryland region, and just some fun stuff in general. But why not in the meantime? Let me introduce who we have in the building for tonight. First off, going from right to left as always, we got Zach Bollinger, and Brad is in the house. Brad, Zach, how are you feeling?
Good.
I feel like my
you want to give it a wave by the
is that helping? Is it helping at all? No.
Nope.
This has
Camera
been
focus.
This has been just a day.
It's been a day. Let's go to the other side.
Early Kevin's corner.
There
I
we
guess.
go.
There.
So right here we have
We're clear.
It must be just how good looking guys over
Exactly.
that must be it. So we have, of the two gentlemen, the smaller gentleman is Kevin Ostreicher, Oyster Striker, and he is Locked On Ravens. And then Ravens long snapper Nick Moore. So everyone here, hey.
What's up?
Oh, I think are we muted?
No.
Who's muted?
No, I don't know. This is just, I don't know what's going on. What a day so far. We had a lot of technical difficulties to start this show. Oh, and by the way, we have Rocco DeSangro just waiting behind in the wings. Rocco, how we doing?
You messed up the Collinsworth slide at the beginning.
Rocco did a really nice.
Very upset.
Really nice slide.
That was me.
Completely
I will
cut me off. It was like one of the best slides I've ever had in my life. So,
How many times do you slide?
few. I've slid a few times in my life.
Dabbled in the slide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a good kid. You're a
No.
very, very good kid. I think we're starting to fix things. Is the camera back? Oh, we're back. You guys look good
Look
now.
at that. Look at that. Yeah,
Hey.
we're so back. Clear.
So we appreciate your guys' patience. Like I said, we got a lot going on to start this show. We're going to talk about a few things. We'll start with the kind of Ohtani situation for those that don't know what happened. And then with our guest coming on here at 6:30, we will talk more Ravens. I promise we're going to talk a lot about the Baltimore Orioles situation. But Ohtani, for those that didn't see the situation, if we could just put it up to date right now, Zach, if you have the time to pull up the what we're talking about. So Ohtani, the season opened up yesterday. And Ohtani, out of the news came the story that involved Shohei Ohtani, but it wasn't necessarily, Zach, supposed to be around Ohtani. It's around his translator. If you want to dive in a little bit more on what that means.
Yeah, so pretty much the story broke yesterday that Shohei Ohtani, at some point, his account transferred $4.5 million into some sort of bookie, gambling, I would say illegal gambling site. And the story at the moment is that Ipe, who is his translator, longtime best friend, they spend literally every day together, is that he had a massive gambling issue, lost $4.5 million, and Shohei Ohtani was covering up for him and just taking care of the debts. However, later it is announced that Shohei's team and lawyers are filing it as a massive theft, saying that Ipe actually stole this money from Shohei Ohtani and that Ohtani had no knowledge of the money missing or the gambling that was occurring from it. So it's kind of that story that has swept the baseball world over the past 24 hours because the biggest star in the world, Shohei Ohtani, the face of baseball, suddenly a gambling scandal. And that's why it's been so big, because I don't think people with the information out right now know how to take it. So it's going so many different ways. Is Ohtani a degenerate gambler? Does he have a gambling problem? Is he being robbed? And no one knows the truth right now.
Yeah, I think the bigger part is what it seems like we're not getting the full story. And I'm not buying initially the fact, and you've seen some videos that popped up. Apparently the report that his translator addressed the team hours after, but you see right before the game ended, that would have been the press conference or addressing the team would have been directly after the game. And it didn't seem like there's any problem between the two there. It didn't seem like they were buddy-buddy. And it just feels like Ohtani was aware of the situation. It feels like whether or not he was involved, he knew what happened.
Yeah,
And it's such a weird situation right now, Brad.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I feel like we obviously we don't have all the facts, so people are just assuming things that have happened. But I also feel like, and Zach, you and I talked about this off camera a little bit, that this feels like, and I don't want to start pointing fingers just yet, but it feels like some sort of cover up. Somebody's not saying something, and somebody has done something really wrong. And then maybe it's Ipe taking the fall for all this, but like, not he can't be the only one whose hands are dirty in this entire situation. So I'm really curious to see what this all looks like by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, well, and it's the poster boy. And here's the video right there. For those that are watching this, Ohtani is hanging out. There they are. They're buddy. They're laughing.
Shooting the shit. Just, what you do with your boys. And
Right.
I will say, I've never been in the situation where I've had a close friend take
$4.5 million
from me. But I don't think that's how I would be reacting with them if supposedly within the past few hours I had found out that he stole all that money from me. So that's where it makes it a little weird.
Right.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, how would you feel if someone allegedly stole $4.5 million from you?
I'd be pretty upset if somebody stole it from me. I don't know if that came before. I read the thing talking about it was like Shohei kind of did it for him so he could help because he didn't trust him with the money. Yeah. A gambling addiction, gambling addicts, it's a very interesting thing. It's very fine. There's a very fine line. So, I mean, it's really hard to say at this point with the information that we've been given, but for the sake of baseball, I hope he wasn't Pete Rose in us,
I love my favorite thing to come out of this was someone found his stat line versus the Athletics last year, and he gave up like 5 runs in like 3 innings. Someone's like, I need this investigated right now. Like, this is not how this goes down.
I feel like we are very far away from the conclusion of this whole thing. I think there's going to be a lot more that comes out. I think this is just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what information we're about to get with this whole thing.
That 30 for 30, man.
I'm telling you, they are getting that 30 for 30 going. And if there's one thing that the MLB, the one player that nothing could be around or so no controversy,
you would never think it.
But also he's everything to baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He just got $700 million. He broke the bank. He changed the structure there. He's the international superstar. He's the modern day Babe Ruth on steroids, all this shit. And all of a sudden the MLB is like, oh, well, Shohei's innocent. It's okay. He's not being investigated, but the perception, this is not the last we're going to hear about this.
I agree with Jason real quick. The MLB has to address this in more than just saying we're not investigating Shohei, because it's allowing so many people to run with the story in so many different ways. And all they keep saying is, it was Shohei's not part of the investigation. And they haven't really stated why or findings or trying to give more information than what we have. And they're just letting people run with rumors and stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say there's so many good things that the MLB has done, especially last year with a lot of rule changes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of things that continue to just make you scratch your head. And this being one of them, you have so many people out there that have been against gambling in sports. And then this just fuels that fire, that conversation of people that will say that, gambling doesn't belong in sports. This just gives them another reason to do so. But then also, and maybe this is kind of like our next topic that we'll discuss here in a little bit. But like when you look at what the MLB has done with the start of the season, it's also a big head scratcher. So there's just a lot happening over the last couple of days that makes you go, what the hell are you doing, MLB?
Yeah, and I know everyone woke up at 6 a.m. in Baltimore to watch the game over in Korea. Well, if you didn't, I'll tell you who was ready. That was Mookie Betts. We'll dive into that in a little bit here. But why don't we bring on our guests with what we're going to do? We're going to table this discussion just for a little bit. But the reason we're a Maryland-based show, we like to have people that like to be involved in the community, also that drives Baltimore sports. And our next guest, he's a comedian, he's an entertainer, but above all, guys, he is a Baltimore sports guy, specifically huge Ravens guy. So if you follow him, we'll bring him on here. Gowi's in the back right now. Who's going to bring him back on? There he is. Gowi, everyone. Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, fellas?
We're doing great. How are you doing? And I don't know if you caught on that. We know you have a lot of ties with football and basketball, and I will give the backstory with all that for you. But the Ohtani situation is the least ideal. If you heard a little bit about that, not what baseball fans want to hear. Yeah. First day. Hey, I guess everyone, you got to spice up opening. It's a long season, right? This is the story of March. We'll see what the story of April is going to be.
Yeah.
So, Gary, why don't you just explain to everyone else here? We know you're a little bit of background, but you sprung onto the scene, and I know with anyone that saw it, impersonating LeBron James was your big thing. But just talk a little bit about how your journey and rise to where you have now established yourself as being kind of, for me, one of the go-to entertainers out there on the circuit on social media.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate that. But yes, my first moment, I guess you could say, the biggest moment was the LeBron James challenge. For those who didn't see it, I was bald-headed in the locker room. You know, the boom, 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 boom. You know, that whole little situation. But it's crazy, man, because like that happened. And social media has always been something that I wanted to do. Like I've been creating content since like 2011, 2012, and that didn't blow up until 2017. So that lets you know like how long I had been doing it and just, you know, trying to utilize my skills and different things like that. But when that moment happened, obviously I was like, okay, this is my time. I have a following now that consists of, you know, celebrities and athletes and stuff like that. And since it was basketball oriented, I was like, okay, this is my chance to actually step into this sports lane and try to play around with sports. So long story short, I basically started doing a lot of sports comedy more so. And then eventually I started to lean more into sports commentary where I wanted to voice my opinions because I did go to school for sports journalism. So that's one thing that people don't know about me. So I'm very in tune with sports. And I just combined the two. So I gave humor, but I also gave my honest sports takes, and people started to click with that. That led to some hosting gigs. And now you may see me on Sundays hosting on Ravens Walk, you know, interviewing former players and different things like that. So it's pretty cool how it happened, but it was unexpected. And it all started with that LeBron video.
That's amazing. Well, out of curiosity, you say you've interviewed some players. Have you interviewed Ravens long snapper Nick Moore yet? That's Nick Moore right there, by the way.
How you doing?
What's up, Nick? Now, first, I have not interviewed Nick. I only got to do, you know, the guys who are being inducted into the Ring of Honor and different things like that. So I've done Haloti Ngata, Todd Heap. I also did Terrell Suggs, which is huge for me because that's my favorite player of all time. And there's a couple of others. So it's been a blessing, but that's kind of my rap sheet as of right now.
Well, there you have it. Okay. Well, you interact a lot on X, Twitter, whatever everyone wants to talk about. And you interact a lot with Kevin, Locked On Ravens.
That's right.
I don't know if you knew that that's Kevin. That's Kevin's actual height. He's a good kid. But
thanks.
Going for his height right out of the gate.
You know what? I got to go right out of the gate here.
It happens.
It's all love, Kevin. But Kevin, I think why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, Gowi, it's nice to meet you finally. I know we've interacted each other, but you're a big Rockets guy. I want to start off with basketball with you because that's how you kind of got your start with the LeBron video. Now, I'm a Denver Nuggets guy, so we're both Ravens, then have like an unorthodox team with that. How'd you become a Rockets fan? I've always wanted to ask you this question.
All right, so I do want to start that in our defense, Baltimore doesn't specifically have a team.
That's
if
right.
You want to root for the Wizards, be my guest. But
Wolf.
You know, I feel like that's an outing. That's your chance to pick somebody else. So with that being said, being a Maryland kid, being a kid from Baltimore, you know, I grew up watching Steve Francis. That was the first guy that made me gravitate towards basketball. I was like, oh, this guy is nice. So I followed him. He ended up being a Houston Rocket. And then when the Rockets decided to trade him, we ended up getting T-Mac in return. So I was like, oh, there's no point to be jumping ship now. So I'm a Rockets fan. And I just stuck with the team. So that's kind of how not kind of, but that's exactly how I became a Rockets fan.
What do you think about their team now, though? Now, Jalen Green, there was a lot of controversy about, all right, is this really the guy for them? You see him drop, what was it, 42-10 or something a couple nights ago? What do you like about the direction? Because they have veterans now, like they brought Van Vliet in and Dylan Brooks. Do you think it's a balance? And do you think they can actually catch the Warriors, maybe that last playing spot?
I think if they continue to do what they're doing as of right now, they could definitely catch the Warriors. Now, will the Warriors slow up because they just won last night? That's another story. But can they actually light that fire under the Warriors and be like, yo, if you slip up, we taking your spot? I think that's definitely a possibility. As far as the team goes, I wasn't too big on the signings in the offseason. I was kind of like, it seems like you guys are reaching just to kind of compete for a play-in spot. But I do like the talent that we have. Jalen Green, he's been very frustrating. He's been up and down. I felt like before this season, his rookie season was his best season. But now, since he has this kid on the way, he got a family to feed.
That's right. That's right.
He has a family to feed and it's showing. So Jalen Green has been in his bag. So if he keeps playing with that same tenacity and he just keeps playing with that aggressiveness, to be honest with you, the opportunities are endless for him. I mean, even though he's been inconsistent, he's still putting up like 20-something points per game throughout his career. So it's like the talent is there. It's just a matter of finding your spots, hitting your shots, and just doing what you need to do to be a franchise player. But Alperen Sengun, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, who's also a Maryland kid, like there's a lot of potential on this squad.
Yeah, good to see Zach Bonder. So today, sticking a little bit with NBA, they are shutting down the G League Ignite team. And I saw you talking a little bit on Twitter earlier today, kind of about how that impacted the NIL. So what do you think, how important was that, even though it was short-lived, that NBA G League Ignite team, how big of an impact did that have on basketball?
Well, in case y'all ain't noticed, I do have the Ignite shirt on, so shout out to the Ignite.
Yeah, look at that.
That was right on, Frank. Great question. But I think that the G League Ignite had a very big impact because I don't know if people actually remember this, but in 2017, LeVar Ball, the guy who everybody thought was a bigger clown than Pennywise, he sat there and he was like, I don't like the idea of kids being milked for their likeness. Like they should have the opportunity to make some money while they wait for their eligibility in the NBA. So he decided to make an NCAA alternative with the JBA. Now, obviously, LeVar didn't have the resources, so the JBA went up in flames. But like 2 or 3 years later, the G League Ignite came about. So basically, they took his idea with the resources that they had, then they made something that was actually, there to add some pressure to the NCAA. And then came the overtime elite. So now when you look at the NBA drafts, the top prospects aren't even coming from college anymore. Like now they're coming from G League Ignite, like the Jalen Greens and the Jonathan Kumingas. And then you have the overtime elite with the Thompson twins. And then you have Wemby coming from overseas. So now you got one prospect in Brandon Miller. And it's like, oh no, we got to get our guys back. So that's when the NIL came about. And that's why I think that the G League Ignite really made an impact, because if it wasn't for them actually utilizing LeVar's idea and putting some resources behind it and making it that effect, I don't think that the NIL would still be a thing today. I think kids will still be settling and getting milk for their likeness in the NCAA.
Yeah, it really is crazy looking back. Everyone, like you said, everyone thought LeVar Ball was crazy for everything he said. And then all these years later, like he was a genius, just the way that he handled himself. He knew how to get in the spotlight. He knew how to get stuff done. And he really did help athletes in so many ways, just not even including just his sons.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long list of things that LeVar does. Now, it's obviously you have to look beyond the theatrics, but when you really look at certain things, you like, I can see what he's doing. Now, you may not like the way that he's pulling it out and the crazy takes that he's saying, like I beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. Like you got to get past all that.
Yeah. Undefeated, never lost.
Undefeated, never lost.
Oh gosh. Well, a lot to dissect here. Hey, before we actually dive more into now, because we know you love for basketball, and I wish the Baltimore Bullets were still in Baltimore. That's a whole different discussion.
Hey, I try to talk about it all the time. I want them back so badly.
Yeah, we need it. Well, Washington's, I guess, stuck with the Wizards because they're not going to Virginia. Maybe there's a team coming to Maryland after all. Who knows? But before, actually, we got a couple things that we'll ask Brad. Do you want to start with that, or we want to go Ravens here? Because you're a big Ravens fan.
Yeah, we can do whatever you want. Mine's sort of Ravens related because it has to do with Lamar Jackson's latest tweet.
Okay, we'll save that. We'll save that for the end then, because I think that is beautiful. Yeah. Why don't we? Because Rocco's feeling lonely. Why don't we get Rocco back on the screen?
Oh, there he is.
Rocco, why don't you get in here and ask a question?
You got to unmute yourself.
You got to
Jesus
unmute.
Christ,
hey, Rocco, first time.
Damn it. There you go.
There we go.
First of all, they mute me. Second of all, they hide me back here until I'm ready to ask a question.
Time out. Before you make your comments here, Rocco, you have the power to unmute yourself. It's right on the screen.
Well,
It's you know what? You need to stop pointing the finger and start pointing the thumb at yourself. Go ahead.
That's right.
Continue. Thank you.
Anyway, Gowi, good to have you on, man. Appreciate you joining us. So,
Let him ask his
Anyway.
question.
anyway, you being a big Ravens fan, being from the area, you got to experience the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed years. You got to experience the Lamar Jackson years. You know what those guys meant to the city, but being from the area now in 2024, Lamar Jackson has kind of taken over that spot for a lot of fans, especially the younger generation. For you personally, what does Lamar Jackson mean to the city of Baltimore, to the kids, to parents, to everybody who really reps that 8 jersey all around the streets of Baltimore?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I want to give you credit on you being dressed for the occasion. I like the
Oh, don't.
Stop it.
He's at work.
He's at work. Yeah, that's some bullshit.
But aside from that, when it comes to 8, to be honest with you, I think that Lamar Jackson, and I know this may be a cliche, but he gives us that feeling that Michael Vick gave Atlanta. Like if you asked anybody that was from Atlanta during that time where Michael Vick was there, a lot of people felt represented. Like they felt like, oh, this is the guy that I can look up to. I may not be able to look up to, a Ray Lewis, or I may not be able to look up to a whoever. But when I look at Lamar Jackson, I feel like there's some representation. And it could be, Lamar Jackson's background. He's from Southern Florida. So it's like, those kids who may not be in the best situations or whatever the case may be, kids that carry themselves a certain way, kids that, they like to rock the big chains and get their hair braided. It's like, Lamar is a representation of them. They feel seen when Lamar's out there. So with Baltimore being a gritty city and some of those things that I just stated, it just goes hand in hand and he just fits perfectly. So one thing that I've noticed about Lamar is that he's able to move around Baltimore with no issues because that's how much people rock with him. They value him. They see the potential in him. I don't know why I can't talk today. But yeah, I think that's the main answer, just the representation factor that he brings to the NFL.
And I think we saw, Gowi, a lot of Lamar and how he's grown over the course of his career. But for last year in the Ravens, how dominant they were in the regular season. They obviously get the bye week, get over the hump against Houston in the divisional round, but can't quite close the deal against the Chiefs. What was your overall view of their season, and what do you think went wrong for him in the championship game?
I think overall the season was outstanding. In my personal opinion, aside from championship years, I think this was my favorite season. I just felt like the vibes were immaculate. I felt like everything just went the way it was supposed to. I mean, you had the hat trick with the defense, the offense, they were putting up numbers. It was like a next man up type of situation. One game, Odell may score a touchdown. Next game, it may be Nelly. The other game, it may be, Zay. Like, it was an actual team effort. Like it felt like a complete team. It didn't feel like one person was carrying or one side was carrying. So once again, this may have been my favorite season outside of those championship years. Now, where did we go wrong? I think where we went wrong was just that they panicked, man. I just like to call it what it is. I think they just panicked. Kansas City, they went up 7. We responded with a touchdown of our own. They scored again effortlessly. So it went 14-7. And once they saw how easy Kansas City was scoring, I think that offense was just like, you know what? We just got to go for it. And I think that's kind of where they shot themselves in the foot because they completely abandoned the run. The run is what got us there. I'll never understand this logic. Even when you sit there and think about it, it's sort of like if you see somebody do something stupid and you like, bro, what was the logic behind that? But there may not have been any logic. It's kind of like you're going to go crazy trying to figure out what was going on. But once you abandon that run, that's our MO, that's our bread and butter. So I just felt like they panicked and they put their foot on the gas, but it was in the wrong, it was just in the wrong way. It just went bad. Terrible.
Oh, that was reliving some good
It
moments.
was a tough moment, Gowi.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sure you didn't feel too good on your
playing
side.
the game, but it was hard to watch.
And speaking of that, I don't want to jump in here, but I got to get your opinion on it. How did that actually feel? Like, if you could compare it to something, what did that feel like?
Oh, yes, Nick.
It to me, I wasn't around. I didn't go to that many games on the sideline this year. I watched a lot from the bleachers dealing with the Achilles. I wasn't there for what had happened prior to that, like throughout the beginning, the whole season. But to me, that game kind of felt similar to, from my perspective anyway, of what we had done in 2021 and 2022, where it was like we got down and we, maybe we lost, it was already over before, even though there was still 2 quarters left or 3 quarters left.
Yeah.
It was a very different vibe. Talking to guys that were like on the field and had been there the whole season, it felt different to them. But for me, I didn't have that experience of this season. So I was like, man, this feels a lot like 2021, where we were playing well enough to win a lot of games, and it wasn't that belief factor that we could do it.
Yeah.
And obviously with defense played really, really well. Outside of those first 2 drives, I thought they played outstanding. Mike was able to call a really good game against one of the best quarterbacks of our generation and one of the most dominant offenses in the league. And really, outside of giving up those 14 points early, shut them down the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think we pressed a little bit on offense and we weren't able to. We made some key mistakes, but overall, I felt like we weren't able to capitalize on some of the opportunities that we had. And so it was a very tough thing to be a part of, and great experience being in that atmosphere. First time we've been there, first time Lamar's been there, first time. Outside of Nelson Aguilar and Justin Tucker, I can't think of any other guys that have been to a championship or a Super Bowl game. So that was good for a lot of us, and I think it'll be something that we can build on going into 2024. And that's kind of where I wanted to segue with. You talked about the run, ending the run. Obviously, we added Derrick Henry last week to the run game. What do you think he brings to the team as far as our run game, and what are you looking for from him this season going into 2024?
Now, when I say this, Roger Goodell, don't find him, don't give him no drug test, but I am going to say that Derrick Henry is Gus Edwards on steroids, basically. I think that Gus Edwards, the way that we utilized him in the goal line, like the way that he was just able to pound the rock, I think he had 13 touchdowns, and most of them came within like 5 yards. I think that Derrick Henry is going to, I don't want to say double it, but like, come on, we talking about Derrick Henry here. And he's very versatile. He's thrown a couple. I don't know if it was a couple or maybe just one, but he's thrown a touchdown pass against us before. So just being able to get versatile, hopefully Todd Monken can look at him and use him for all his skills. Because I was still hoping that OBJ was going to throw a pass some point last year, but we didn't get a chance to see that.
It might have. Ew.
Hey,
that would have been awesome.
That'd have been tough.
It's
what would you guys rather have, an Odell Beckham Jr. throw or a James Prochet?
Don't. Jesus.
Oh
my God! Why would we go there?
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. I like.
Why'd you do that to my boy James? I'm wearing his hat right now.
James
Prochet's hat.
Channel 3.
This is brand.
That's electric.
Yeah.
I love.
Gotta bring my guy down like that. I love James.
Jesus Christ, Ryan.
Why did I bring that down? I just said, what would you rather have?
Well,
that was the question.
We can do a different one. What would you rather have, a Derrick Henry touchdown throw or a Patrick Ricard touchdown throw in a Ravens uniform?
It's Ricard all day.
You gotta love the big man throwing touchdowns. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like a 315-pound fullback throwing a touchdown?
And we've already seen Derrick Henry do that to the Ravens.
Yeah, dude, come on, do something else, Derrick. Do something else cool.
It's not the same. Rocco, where are you right there? Oh, there you are. You want to unmute yourself at this time, bud?
Yeah, I know how to use the unmute button now. Thanks for adding me back to the stage. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have to speak like nicely to you because I'm in a suit. So like if I wasn't, I wouldn't be.
Time out for one second, Gowi. So for some reason, when Rocco, like, he'll say certain things and you'll say, why did you say that? You talked about earlier about like maybe stupid comments. That's a stupid comment right there. Why? Because you're in a suit. I love you, Rock. But I think you wanted to ask another question because there's been a lot of moves besides the Derrick Henry one coming to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not so much about who's coming to Baltimore with Derrick Henry and the guys that they've added. Hasn't been a lot, but a question, and it's been a trending topic on social media the last couple of weeks, is players from the Ravens joining rival teams. Patrick Queen going to the Steelers. Yeah, Geno Stone going to the Bengals. How do you feel about all that? Not just the movement, but those players joining the enemy, joining the opposition, joining those rival teams.
So I'm 50-50 on this. And the reason why I'm 50-50 on this, because one side of me absolutely hates it. It's like, bro, out of all the teams you can go to, why would you pick a division rival? But then on the other side, it's kind of like, I know how Ravens fans are, and including myself. So we gonna talk our trash. We gonna get the players fired up. They really gonna feel that they are rivals now. So that's going to add a little bit more chippiness to the AFC, AFC division, AFC North division. So with that being said, I think those games, that rivalry factor that we've been feeling in those years, the prime years with the Ray Lewises, the Ed Reeds, the Hines Wards, the Chad Ochocinco's, Hushman Zada's, like I think that we're going to get back to that feeling because you do have guys like Patrick Queen who claims he wants to be the villain. There's already a little bit of animosity we know with TJ Watt, and you got Minka Fitzpatrick and all that other stuff. So I think that smash mouth, I want to play with a chip on my shoulder. I want to prove myself and let y'all know, like, you made a mistake getting rid of me. Because you know how guys, they make this like narrative that it wasn't just business and that there was actually a reason why they got let go or whatever the case may be. But I think that's going to add to the games. And ultimately, I think that the AFC North may be back, like that old feel where you was like, oh, we got Steelers week. This is Steelers week, not just we play the Steelers, like, let's just win. So
yeah, it was a prime time game
with them joining the rival, but it's like, to you, is it just like this is a business? It's a National Football League, because a lot of fans out there, you see, they are so pressed over the moves.
Yeah, there's some fans that are really like, F this guy, and I'm like, damn, like it was never that serious. Like I'm not that far off on the deep end, but for me, it's more so I understand it business wise, but at the same time, there is I can't root for you anymore. Like you are the enemy. And I felt the same way about Joe Flacco last year. I know people have their stipulations with Flacco, but I'm like, come on, Flack. Like of all teams you can go to, and then on top of that, you're right on our heels. I can't like you. But now I'm a Flacco fan again because he's gone.
It's like we were talking about before Patrick Queen went elsewhere. We were like, just go to Seattle or Carolina so we can root for you. We can say that we still support you. And then we got the notification it was Pittsburgh. And me and Ryan immediately said, we're like, we wish you would have just gone to the Panthers.
The Panthers are like, Mike McDonald, Nick, is very lonely out there. Like none of his Ravens followed. No Geno, no PQ.
I mean, it's just you got to go where the money's at. I mean, it's like you got to go with the best opportunity.
Yeah. Money talks.
Yeah, and a team like the Steelers are going to go after a guy like PQ because he dominated them for the last 3 or 4 years. And they, it's from a player's perspective, like maybe that was his best offer. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I haven't looked into it, but guy got $41 million to go to our rival. He probably wanted to step out of the shadow of Roquan and kind of cement his legacy as he's the guy because he really played really well this year. And so I think maybe he thinks going to our rival, and if he can play well against us, like it'll add something to his legacy or something like that. But, I wish him the best. PQ is a good dude. And I like him a lot. And I hope he plays good 15 times a year.
Yeah.
And the other 2 times he plays us.
Yeah, not quite the Isaiah Likely approach from Nick there when Isaiah said he wishes 0-17 seasons and good health for Patrick Queen.
I would I'd never wish ill on someone else except for when they're playing against us. But you gotta do what you gotta do. It's the National Football League. It's not a lot of guys have a lot of options.
Let me ask you this. How do you feel about when PQ was like, oh, I want to be the rivalry, like I want to be that villain, and then the very next day goes out and blasts everybody on Twitter, like kind of like a little bitch. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't have Twitter, as we all know. But
you had to have seen it.
I can't speak. I did see the villain quote, and it doesn't surprise me coming from Patrick Queen. He went to LSU, so that's that mentality. So I could see it, but definitely calling out guys like that, I don't know.
But he's calling out Twitter, so he wanted to be the villain, but then he calls out Twitter followers and telling them that they all need to go touch grass, is what he said.
Yeah, he told Kevin specifically to go.
I don't know. Grass. I don't think he knows me like that. If he was, then I guess I'll take his info.
We'll see what happens coming. We'll probably not play him until October.
See him at the bank.
What I will say is that first Derrick Henry Patrick Queen meetup in the middle is going to move mountains.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be it's going to be the high school football in the whole,
I'm still sticking with the narrative. I think they should do it. They should hike the ball and everyone on the field moves and then gives the ball to Derek.
Little Oklahoma drill.
And Oklahoma drill. Yeah, we actually have a few things in the works here. One, we want to see that, but we actually have an Oklahoma drill set up between Nick and Kevin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I
We're
know,
taking bets, all
I
right?
know I'm the early favorite, but it might change.
I mean, I'm coming off Achilles surgery. So.
Hey, hold on. I'm trying to figure out what's the odds because I might be okay with losing the money just to see if I can hit.
Well,
You're
what
relying on
what
Nick's.
I actually propose is we get those bubbles, like you
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
live
massive
bubbles,
bubbles. Yeah.
and see who goes back the furthest.
It would be you.
I find it hard to believe that I'm going to go backwards at all.
Yeah, that's
I outweigh you by
As
at
much
least
as-
120 pounds. Like,
130 on a good day. For
I don't
me.
think
Nick, watch out,
I'm
man.
260. I'm
Kevin's
260 right
come
now.
up is going to be incredible. I cannot wait to see it.
I think
could be
you
a
and Kevin
monster,
could get
dude.
in the same ball, and I
Oh,
still
that's
would
a
go
good
backwards.
idea.
I
That's a good
still
idea,
wouldn't go
actually.
backwards.
Hey, you guys don't know Gowi. Nick's thick in here. I told him like, hey, you're looking
Brian,
thick.
Brian just told me that on off camera right before the show started. He's like, "You're looking thick today." I was
Well,
like, "That's not what I'm going for. I'm trying to lose weight." Okay.
This man had
Trying to
beef
go
with Christian
down.
Wilkins. I don't think he's getting intimidated by
That's fair.
No, I was like Kevin on Christian Wilkins going back. So,
Oh gosh, that's a good one. We're gonna actually share that story. All right, Gowi, 2 questions for you, and then you can get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your time. Kevin, though, I think because the other moves with the wide receiver cycle, I think you have a couple thoughts on that.
Yeah, I know. Gowi, Derrick Henry was the big one, but obviously that doesn't mean the Ravens are done. Eric Costa seemingly going out there trying to find a veteran receiver. Michael Gallup comes in for a visit today. Josh Reynolds apparently coming in tomorrow. Feels like the Ravens want to get at least one veteran in that room, even though they also brought back Nelson Aguilar, which I thought was a pretty good signing. But do you think that whether it's Gallup, whether it's Reynolds, those two move a needle for you? Or would you rather have a Tyler Boyd or go out there, get a Michael Thomas? And kind of a follow-up to that is I've seen you talk about Rashad Bateman a little bit and kind of where you are with him right now. Are you okay with the Ravens trusting him in a bigger role this year, considering him and Lamar haven't necessarily established a full-on connection yet, but maybe it could come this year?
So for me, I think that I don't want to necessarily say that those guys don't move the needle because I feel like a lot of us felt that way with the Nelson Aguilar signing. But then, when Nelson came in, he was very reliable. I mean, clutch first down plays.
Yeah.
He caught damn near everything that was thrown to him. I know he had the one drop against Pittsburgh, but I think that Nelson Aguilar was a very reliable receiver for us. So bringing him back definitely made me happy because I was one of the guys who wanted him back. So I don't want to look at Michael Gallup or Reynolds and say, oh, no, they don't move the needle. But if it was up to me, I would be looking more or leaning more towards Tyler Boyd. I think that Tyler Boyd kind of fits exactly what we need. AFC North DNA, very durable, very reliable with the catching. Like his catch percentage is like 77 or something crazy from last season, or maybe throughout his career. So that's the type of guy that I think I would like on our roster because you get the consistency, you get the durability, but then you also get the production. So that's where I would lean towards. And when it comes to Rashad Bateman, I think that, and a lot of people think this is personal. It's nothing personal at all. My mindset is strictly, if we have a $260 million quarterback and you have a wide receiver that he just can't click with, who's the expendable one? And that's kind of just how I look at it. And I feel like some situations, yes, opportunity is a thing. Yes, the wide receiver, the quarterback has to throw you the ball, this, that, and the third. He has to be healthy for training camp, all that other good stuff. All those things are a factor. But when it comes down to it and you look at it, I look at the situation like OBJ in Cleveland situation where OBJ was getting open, but Baker Mayfield couldn't get him the ball. And then OBJ goes to LA and he's one of the main pieces during the Super Bowl run. Like, I look at it that way. Some people just have to go to another team in order to get the usage that they actually need to be productive. And I just think as of right now, Lamar and Bate, I don't think, the trust and the chemistry is there just yet. So I personally would not trust him being a top receiver on this team. I would more so have him as like a rotational guy that will come in on, third downs or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
Well, so then with that real quickly with the wide receiver, then if it's not Tyler Boyd, does Josh Reynolds or Michael Gallup, is that a move you'd say, sure? Hey, if they're available, and again, because we don't know, everyone freaked out with Nelson Aguilar. I mean, and they signed him before the draft, right?
Yeah, before OBJ.
They waited 3 weeks to make their first move.
Yeah,
and obviously a lot of that had to do with Lamar's contract.
Yeah.
And that was the first signing they made all offseason. and everybody just went.
As we
nuclear.
know, everyone stays super calm on
Oh, yeah.
social
Oh,
media.
you know what? Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
stays
Yeah.
right here the entire time. But you're okay if they're interested with Gallup or Reynolds. You're cool with it.
Yeah, so if I had to pick between Reynolds or Gallup, I would definitely go Reynolds. So he would be my top pick before Gallup. But Ravens flock. I mean, when you go through that whole time of just saying we need wide receivers, and the first name comes up of somebody that's not of a wide receiver one caliber, they're gonna lose their minds every time.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. Get death taxes and people lose their shit on X.
Ravens Twitter has no clue why Eric DeCosta can't get Cortland Sutton and Stephon Diggs on this team right now.
Right.
Like, just trade. just make the trade, Eric. It's not that simple.
It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Hey, well, last question here because Brad asked all of our super important questions. So
100%.
We'll let Brad leave you with our final question for the night and let you get on out of here, Brad.
It's more like 1.5. So I'll just start with this one because I ask all of our guests this question.
Oh, no. Okay.
When it's time to go to the bathroom, and toilet paper is required.
That's not.
Is it you fold it or you ball it?
He has every athlete does.
Me personally, I ball it.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Didn't see that one coming.
I did not either.
That's the most excited I've seen Rob.
So like, because I feel like when you when you wrap it around, you ball it. It's more like boom, you fold it. Well, are you saying fold it like when you use it, or are you saying fold it before you use it?
No. Like as you're using it, is it folded?
Oh no, I folded then. I lied.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I lied.
Look at Rocco's
Good call,
face,
brother.
What an L.
And
Sorry, Rock.
Take that.
And Rocco's defeated.
Goodbye, Rock. All right. So my serious question here. Well,
Serious.
sort of, quote unquote. So one of the first times we actually have you on the show was when Rashard Mendenhall, went bananas on the internet about white team versus black team. You were one of the first guys that came out and was like, "Listen, everybody wants to talk about how the black team is going to roll over everybody," and then you kind of went out and was just like, "There's some guys, on the white team as well." But what we just found out recently is that Lamar is apparently now on the white team, and I feel like it's all over. What do you think about that?
First of all, I need context. Oh,
here it is.
Oh yeah, up there, go right there.
He said, so he retweeted this and said, of somebody putting up this.
I guess that's an
crazy
alligator arm.
It looks like an alligator. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says you ain't black if you never ate this, and then Lamar says this whole time I've been white. So I'm just assuming that now he's on the white team.
Now, you know what's funny about this? Because looking at that dish, I too have never had that. So I think that the black and white team is going to look a lot different based on this photo alone. But aside from that, if we're just throwing Lamar Jackson on the white team, that's another conversation to be had because we see how Lamar Jackson can embarrass people in open field. So I don't know. I'm trying to tell you, got guys like Cooper Kupp on the outside. Maybe you have who else? The dude that played for the Panthers last year. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Thielen. Adam Thielen.
You got Thielen. Maybe he'll, cook up a little bit. You might grab Cole Beasley or somebody. I think they can get it done.
Yeah, put McCaffrey in that
What is
backfield.
Puka
Tight ends
Nacua,
for
dude?
days.
Does he count?
Tight
So
ends for
that's
days.
where,
Where does he count?
yeah,
He's kinda-
Puka
he's Hawaiian.
and those, like, that's where, like, is there a separate draft? Like, that was another like big question.
Yeah, there's so many there's guidelines that you have to go by.
We know who
like
the long snapper is going to be.
Nick Moore.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't even the black team wouldn't even have a long snapper.
They have to for touchdowns.
They wouldn't have one.
Wait,
They'd have a punter, and that's it.
I guess you put your center.
Yeah.
They'd have no
long
kicker.
snapper,
Yeah.
The punter, Presley Harvin would have to be the kicker.
but analytics this day
And Marquette
nowadays,
King, I guess, could come back.
The comeback of Marquette King would be
Yeah.
incredible.
That would be electric.
they
That's
could.
Something that we don't want to see.
He can wave the flag. He can wave the penalty flag again.
Yeah, he's fine. He can stay where he's at.
Well, anyway, I was gonna say analytics wise, now people just go for it all the time. So who needs long snappers? But we need long snappers.
We need long
The
snappers.
Ravens need long snappers.
Damn right we do.
Nick Moore, Pro Bowl 2024.
Let's do
Mark
it.
it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ravens fly. Let's fly.
Let's fly.
Can you say that one more time, Nick?
Ravens flock. Let's fly.
Okay.
We need a Russell Wilson, Nick Moore crossover at the next Ravens Steelers.
I
game.
can't take credit for that. That was all Justin Tucker.
I kind of feel like you need to zoom in on the less fly.
Oh, without a doubt. We'll get a Zoom going.
You
Don't
got,
worry.
you know where I got that from, right?
Yeah, Justin on
yeah,
the plane.
Making sure we're all on the same page.
I know, but we just need
Not
to
all
look
of us
in the
have
cam-
Twitter, okay? So
Well, things that need to happen. Nick Moore needs to get Twitter, and then if you guys are already on X, you need to follow Gowi on there. If I'm not mistaken, it's just at the kid Gowi.
Yeah.
Okay.
AID GOWIE.
That's it. That's simple. Well, Gowi, we appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully, this was painless for you. If you're ever around the Baltimore area, you want to come down. If you're down for any Orioles stuff, let us know. That's kicking off here next week. We'd be happy to show you around. So, in the meantime, enjoy your time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all, man. I had fun. Rock, keep your head up, bro. I know they treat you like the redheaded stepchild, but it's cool. I'm rocking with you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. At least
All right,
someone
yes,
is.
see you, Gowie.
See you, Gowi. Yeah, Gowi, everyone. By the way.
Awesome. That was great.
That was really good. What a
I love that
good
guy.
kid.
What a
good
guy.
kid.
Yeah, of course you do.
Well, I will say that with redheaded stepchild, Ryan kicked that off by just flaming my height.
Opened up the combo.
Oh, yeah. So
Hey, nice to meet you. Kevin is really short.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can tell.
Not the first time that has actually happened to me.
I love how you start with, you've interacted with Kevin. Yeah, this is actually his height. He's that short. No, like, say hi, Kevin.
Rocco and I are going to team up against you one day, Ryan.
It's going to be
At
the
least
shoulder
expecting
on the
it.
shoulder.
It's gonna be like, yeah. What's that game we used to play in the pool as kids? Chicken.
Yeah.
It'd be like chicken versus Ryan.
We're gonna get a big suit, and I'm
Listen.
gonna be sitting on Rocco's shoulders.
I
and
don't-
Ryan's
I
gonna
don't
be-
need
he got
Kevin.
really tall.
I don't need Kevin.
Be careful
to,
what you're
to
gonna
beat
say.
Ryan up.
Whoa.
Oh, one on.
Beat him off.
He's a stick.
Let's beat him off, dude. Come on.
He's a stick. He's like Slender Man.
Am I the only one, dude?
No.
We hear.
What did you say?
I didn't say that. Okay.
You literally
Sure
did.
sounded
You
like it to
literally
me.
just said
No,
that.
wait, he said
I
it
said
first.
beat
I
him
was
up.
repeating what he
He
said.
said beat him up.
Oh, it sounded like it in my ears. So. I'm sorry. I apologize, people. Sorry, man. I could have swore he said it. I swear.
Right.
Or off. Sorry.
Houston's not even in the chat yet.
Oh my
That's
God,
on me.
this is
Unbelievable.
well.
Oh
Hey,
my
if you're still tuning into the Ryan Ripken show, we appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe button. We just had Gowi on. Apparently, Rocco and I are going to square off.
the
Jeez,
correct
Nick.
usage of off in that
My
situation.
God, butter.
Yeah, so Rocco and I are gonna spar. We're gonna go toe
Good
to
work.
toe.
That's the 20,000 subs. Rocco and Ryan get in the ring and go
Ooh.
7 rounds of boxing.
I know a boxing gym. We can get it set up.
Oh, that'd be
Fine with that.
perfect. That would be
It'll be
perfect.
great. We can get it.
A lot of good kids here. The one thing I will say is, through all this, Rocco, you stand no chance. You have a better chance. Again, we'll go back to one of my favorite movies growing up, Kicking and Screaming. What do they say? Oh, you and Byung-sung can form to be one mega person. Rocco and Kevin can become the mega person.
That's right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
we
about?
could. It would be like the you ever see the movie with the kids in the trench coat and they make that really tall person? I think
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what we were just talking
I was
about.
saying I'm gonna sit on your shoulders and I'm gonna come into the studio and Ryan will be like, "Oh, Kevin, you got really tall."
You know what, Zach? I got distracted by whatever the hell Nick said. So I'm like,
That was well before I made my comment.
You're
And
getting
again,
the
I
blame for that
apologize for
one,
my comment. It's a PG-13 show.
No, it's
I
not. It's not
apologize.
PG. If you, it's definitely not PG-13.
Look, my dad's even
Nick's son
chiming
of a
in right
rookie here
now.
or something. I mean,
Oh,
Don't-
Rocco. No guarantees. I'm sorry. You know, Steve, it's we try. But Gowie's a fan of Rocco. We learned that. He's a fan.
Great
He's
guy.
sticking with him.
Got
Really.
one.
yeah.
Great
You
game.
know, I liked them all the way up until then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had some great stuff here. So we talked a lot of Ravens there. It was great. And he gives great insight on and really thought out. He's a funny guy, but he's also very well thought out with all of his Maryland, specifically Baltimore conversations. Before we dive into more topics, though, because we're going to get into the Ohtani conversation a hair longer. Obviously, a lot of news around the Orioles. I think people are wondering right now about what just happened. Baltimore Orioles, Jorge Mateo's on the team. The rotation is announced. And I might have a breakdown at the end here that for people would really like to enjoy. But Brad, I think, do you want to start something off here first? Do you have any polls or
I
any
got
thoughts?
to pull up. Yes. First one of the night is who would you nominate to have their own reality TV show? I took myself and Nick off of this poll because I knew that we would automatically win.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's
Thanks for making it.
look
fair.
at us.
it's Ryan, Rocco, Zach, and Kevin. So far, 36% of the vote goes to you, Ryan. Actually, it's a tie right now between you and Zach. Another vote just came in. So 36 and 36, 23% has Rocco, and nobody wants to see Kevin with a reality TV
Wow.
show.
That's
It'll
an
be the
insult
most,
to that
it'll
man.
be the most boring TV.
It would just
I
be
just work,
Kevin.
man.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like-
say it would just be Kevin logging on to different like streams for different things, and then it'd be like,
it's literally
and it would
true.
be going from like 4 p or like 2 p.m. to like 3 a.m. and it would just
I mean,
be
it would be a very long reality show because I don't go to bed until like 5 a.m.
How many
Yeah, we
how many
just-
times did Kevin feed his fish?
But like to
I-
this
once
end,
a night.
there's Zach is now taking the lead as we're talking, but it is going back and forth. People are chiming in now. What I will ask the room, is there a specific reality TV show that's kind of like, your go-to, your guilty pleasure, so to speak, or do you not have a reality TV guy?
I never got into reality TV. I'm trying to think.
Did,
never watched a reality
did
TV show ever?
The new like Netflix like Full Swing, does that count as reality TV or
Yeah.
no? Because it's like
Oh well, okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's more
Yeah, because it's like a
documentary.
docu-series.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
docu.
Real
I mean, like my wife loves Bravo, so I think I've seen all the Real Housewives of every city in America. So
That count. That is
that's real
directly-
reality
that-
TV.
yeah.
That's real
Oh,
reality.
I
TV.
have one, Nick, for you.
What you
Real
got for me?
House Husbands of the well, you'd have to. It would be like the Ravens, like housewives, but it would feature the husband. So basically, like an NFL football season. So you
I
already
mean-
you already got your ground covered.
There you
Yeah,
go.
pretty much.
by the way, did you see that there wasn't, I guess, enough participants in the QB quarterbacks too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's
okay.
just wide receivers.
I love how they're
Wait,
trying to
what happened?
pretend like so they're doing a new season. Remember they
Yeah.
did quarterback.
Yep.
And after quarterback came out, there was just day after day it would be reported that they asked so and so if they wanted to do it for quarterback season 2 and he said no. And that'd be like another guy said no, another guy said no.
Yeah.
And then like 3 days ago they were like season 2 receiver. And also George Kittle is in the group.
Yeah,
Why is George Kittle?
that was
Also-
wild. So,
Everyone, of course, is giving crap for Deebo Samuel being in there. They're like, "Was a running back in the receiver?"
Two
I'm like,
guys
"Are
on
we
the same
ignoring?"
team?
Yeah. That's the other thing is people
They're
don't
following
like
him
that.
the whole year. Both of those.
No,
guys?
it's just off season,
oh okay.
but it is.
Well,
You
because QB was what the whole season last year.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Because that's a
let's-
camera following them around.
quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Quarterback was like throughout the season.
Oh, I forgot.
Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
and Patrick Mahomes and Marcus Mariota. That was a tough pick.
Yeah.
I guess he
Yeah.
was one of the only guys that wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Though. It's a lot.
They
dude.
struck out on a lot
I-
of guys.
Quarterbacks already get enough media attention as it is.
I saw
so-
someone say though, like receiver is the perfect position to go to because there were probably like 20 receivers who texted their agent like, "Why didn't I get picked?"
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
there.
Like they're gonna love it. They're gonna get
Yeah,
some good
yeah.
media out of
I
some
mean, come on,
receivers.
yeah,
Stephon Diggs one-liners every week.
yeah, that'd be great.
Watching him do his cryptic tweets.
Yeah, so you know what? We're talking about the reality stuff here. Is like we're trying to think about more subscription wise for the show. We could do our own reality behind the
could.
scenes here. We're thinking about that. The Rip After Dark is trying to figure out the right form. Nick already did part of After Dark. It sounded like during the
Well, he pitched an idea for it.
he did pitch an idea.
Jesus Christ.
Kevin,
Jesus Christ.
What?
What are we- Gee.
honestly, Kevin, if you guys ever seen the Truman Show,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think like Kevin could be in that situation where I could see Kevin, everything's already set up and the camera's always on Kevin on his normal day to day and what he does and eats Cheerios without milk and does the
Yeah.
same thing over and over
Well,
again.
I do have a confession to make.
Oh,
it's
no.
a funny confession. So but the Lucky Charms thing, if you didn't know, I prefer cereal to the marshmallows in
Yeah,
Lucky
I
Charms.
saw
which,
it.
Yeah, so which a lot of controversy.
That's
but-
absolute fat lunacy right there.
But I was eating them, because I got the huge family-sized box of them. So I was eating them.
How'd you pick that up?
It was literally the only thing that was available.
That wasn't
And
what he was
look,
asking. That wasn't-
no, I know. I was gonna say it weighed a lot, but I managed it. But regardless, I was eating the cereal, I was eating the marshmallows, and whenever there was a handful of the cereal, I was like, all right, this is really good. But every time I was like, I really wish there was a marshmallow in this. I think I've flipped.
We've done
that.
what an accomplishment for
From
the show.
marshmallow.
That's
We're
just-
we're
is
changing
the
lives.
one.
Changing
Magnificent
lives.
right
I
there.
never thought this day would come, but it's here. I don't know how it got
This
here.
is
but
We
it has.
opened you up to reality.
We're
At
converting
least
you.
they did. I didn't. But I wasn't here for that. But
That could be another subscription. Like, changing Kevin.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a reality show right
Just
there.
come in with a full sleeve. of like
Listen,
tattoos.
The next vote takes the win here because it's now 38%.
Oh my
Ryan and
God.
Zach. So I
Hey,
need one
now.
more.
Rocco,
vote
would you
come
like
in.
to see me with a sleeve? I heard you
Oh.
laughing back there.
Impractical Jokers is a
Unbelievable.
fantastic show. That's a good one that I can.
So
Great.
is that
What
reality
was-
TV?
That's what I'm
think
trying to, because I also like
a
reality
good one.
TV. I would also say like Hard Knocks would be like a great one. But
That's
is
more
that-
sports.
considered
That's
reality.
like I would say
Okay,
that's
did
more
we
like
say it couldn't be? Someone said quarterback.
yeah, but Zach,
no,
that's
but
not like
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that's reality TV.
Well,
I
that's
think
what
you
I'm
think
saying. Like,
reality-
I don't watch that, so the closest would be like
Yeah.
Hard Knocks for me.
reality
it's not
TV would
like-
be like, would Zach do Survivor or would I
Yeah.
do Big Brother? I think I'd kill it on Big Brother. I think
Survivor.
he-
Never mind. I went through
Biggest
a
Loser
massive
was a
Survivor
classic
thing.
back in the day.
Survivor's obviously reality TV. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that.
Survivor, yeah.
Without
I mean,
it, I went through a wild thing where I've binged an entire season from like, this was in college, like 12 p.m. until like 3 a.m. That's how long it takes.
But like,
Thanks for
isn't
that.
Not
Alone
fun.
like a reality TV? Because like Alone was like awesome.
That's
What's
I'm not sure. Alone.
Yeah,
I'm
Never heard of
not
that
sure
one.
on that.
you never
I-
heard of that? Oh, bro.
I don't know what's I'd have to go back and look to
I think Naked and Afraid, like, because that's what I thought you were
Yeah.
alluding to.
No,
that's,
well, so-
that's another.
It's not like Naked and Afraid. It's like you get 10 things to take with you out in the wilderness, and you're competing against 6 other people. Basically, the last one
Yeah.
standing gets $500,000, and somebody has lasted as long as like I don't know, 128 days was the longest.
Wow.
And there's been some people that didn't even make it like 6 days. But like it's legit. Like some of these people, they'll medically pull them because their mind just like, no, I'm fucking staying.
They just sit in like a room or something.
No, they're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
They make their own huts or their own shelter, and
Yeah.
they're hunting their own food and everything. Like it's a pretty wild show.
I mean,
you know
hence the name Alone.
I mean, yeah.
Alone.
Yeah, I saw that.
Entertaining, but
I saw that.
it's an acquired taste. My girlfriend made me watch Love Island this past like
Oh
Like-
boy.
2 months
I do
ago.
know some.
It
I
was-
do know
it was
some people.
actually- It was actually entertaining as hell. It's like you talk like so much crap about it, and then you're like, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. And then you watch it, and then you sit down for 2 episodes, and then you end up watching 4 episodes, and then you're hooked, and then you're just like, all right, what's happening next? So it's like that was kind of a good one. But yeah,
Yeah,
Stuff
we'll
like
move on. The last thing I'll say is I'd love to have a show in the sense of where we have some stupid conversation, then it's where they pull you off to the side and you have to give your rendition of what happened. I want to be like, Zach pissed me off. I can't believe.
Shit ain't go down like he said.
It would be like when they interview the like on the
Like
office, when
Office,
they do,
yeah.
like the,
Yeah.
it would be hilarious.
can't
We could
believe
get to,
Zach
like,
wouldn't grab beers with me on a Monday night when he has work the next day.
Yeah,
That'd be a
Rocco
good
is big on like he'll pitch Monday beers as we're leaving the studio. He'll be like, "So we want to go grab beers?" It's like, no,
I'm only off
Oh,
Monday and
God.
Tuesday, bud. What do you expect from me?
I know.
No, good kids. We'll move on. Last thing I'll say with Wipeout. What's up, guys? I actually love watching people get annihilated on Wipeout, and I would
Classic.
participate. That would be a great Ryan Ripken show. If they ever allow us, and as we get bigger here, I'd love to go on the show. Kevin, I would pay them to let you
I
go on
will
the
do
show.
it. I will do it.
Oh God.
Ryan officially won. I just ended it.
Thank you.
Let's be us.
Did I get one vote?
Yeah, you
got
did.
you got 3% of the vote.
Yeah,
I will take
Probably
it.
one.
someone-
Did you vote yourself?
No, I just saw someone say, "I
comment.
got you, Kevin."
Oh, who said that?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh gosh.
Oh god.
Some good kids. A couple of good kids, and Rocco. So you're our good kid. All right, let's dive back in. We touched a little bit on Shohei Ohtani.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah, I can't get on Rocco's forehead because I have a massive forehead. But going back to, we touched a little bit on the Ohtani situation. Obviously, for those that are tuning in, Ohtani, no bueno with the situation. Seems like everything's going to be okay. We're still in a holding pattern, right? What's up,
Well,
Kevin?
apparently there was a notification that dropped while we were doing this that there was like an update that apparently they were still like making sure of everything that was going on, but still needing Ipe's translation during the beginning parts of the investigation.
Who's this per? What's the source?
It was Bleacher Report per.
Oh,
if
if
I
it's
can
on Bleacher
find
Report,
it.
that's fine.
Yeah,
I was just
I'll
curious
try to figure out who it was.
where
But
that
yeah, it
came
was
from.
Bleacher Report. But that's crazy. You got to rely on the guy who you're investigating's translation in the first parts of the investigation is a little crazy.
Lots
but,
of he said, she said, probably happening.
yeah,
It's crazy.
Yes. So we'll leave it at that. It just would be the worst possible thing. MLB eventually needs to talk about it more, but it would be the worst thing possible for the actual sport. Zach.
I just want to put this tweet on the screen because I will say, as much as people are like upset about potentially Shohei Ohtani gambling, this is the reality that we live in. It says, it's in quotes, so it's pretending that this is them welcoming Jeff Passan on to SportsCenter. It says, welcome back to SportsCenter, presented by ESPN Bet. For more on the Ohtani situation, we go to our FanDuel MLB insider, Jeff Passan, at our DraftKings studio in Los Angeles, brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. Jeff, how could something like this happen? And it's true because we've built the games in every sport. I feel like 90% of commercials I see right now, especially during March Madness, it's here's a FanDuel one, here's a DraftKings one, here's BetMGM. And it does feel like with all the sponsorships I think it's I forget which app, but you will now be able to live bet on your television and it'll pull it up with the games. And like, it's just gotten to the point where how do people not bet? Like, how are you going to expect athletes like get upset with them betting? But then you're obviously your biggest push right now is, hey, you guys should bet on these games though. You know,
I've been saying this for a long time, just amongst my circle of people that like, you know, I just find it ironic that the NFL and Nick, you don't have to speak on this. I'm just saying, like, my own personal opinion. Like, I just find it ironic that like the NFL will not allow players to gamble, period. But yet they have the endorsement with like MGM, I think is their big player now, and it was DraftKings before. So it's like they'll get in bed with these companies, but then like put all these crazy restrictions on any type of gambling. And obviously, you know, you don't want players betting in the sports that they play in. That I'm not saying something like that, but it's just like if it's off season, you want to place a bet on, I don't know, baseball, like why should that be disallowed? Or, you know, my point being is that like you can't have your cake and eat it too. So like they're gonna have to figure something out and to where it doesn't take away from the integrity of the game, because right now we're starting to see that we're seeing it happen before our very eyes.
Well, you're having the doubts. You're having
That's what I'm
doubts
saying.
be put into your head, and I think the biggest thing was in the last 10 years how quickly it flipped from pro teams being so anti-gambling to now we can profit off. We love gambling because it opens up an audience and you make money. Like that's at the end of the day, where instead of it's going to, illegal sports books, they're the worst, they're terrible. Well, let's partner with a legal sports book. It's great, it's fun, you can win, it's exciting, and we'll take a cut of that.
Yeah, before it was, hey, gambling's bad, don't bet on sports. And now it's every single pitch can count. You can even bet on a strike or a ball. It's like, okay, now they just want you to literally spend all of your money on. They're like, if you lose one bet, you can go right back into the live action and bet some more.
And if you have a gambling problem, here's the number.
Yeah, that's my favorite point. And they're like, also, if your loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah.
Did he bet? Like, have they said what he was gambling on?
No, so I want to bring
so
Rocco.
baseball's allowed to.
No, so no player in any sport is allowed to bet on the sport that they're involved in, right? So obviously
fine.
So the problem with Calvin Ridley when the situation happened, he bet on an NFL game.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams' situation on the Lions, he didn't bet on an NFL game, but he bet on a college game, I believe, while on site of a NFL facility.
Yes.
Facility. So let's bring Rocco in just to explain, because the last thing before we move into the Orioles, I know a lot of people are excited about the Orioles here. Rock, the statements that were put out, at least just to give the backstory of all this, we'll wrap it all together and then we'll hop right into the Orioles news.
Here's why this is such a bad look, and I'm not speculating anything. Everything is alleged this, alleged that, and that's the kind of terminology I'm going to use for that. But here's what's not alleged: the statements that Ipe Mizuhara put out to ESPN, and I believe it was separate interviews with ESPN. First, he goes on and says about the whole situation. Obviously, he, meaning Ohtani, wasn't happy about it and said he would help me out, make sure I never do this again. He decided to pay it off for me. So evidently, what I'm reading from this article, there was a wire transfer from Shohei to this Matthew Boyer, who is under federal investigation, that illegal sports book. First of all, gambling is not legal in the state of California. Second of all, they said that they did, well, Mizuhara said he did not bet on baseball because he knew the ramifications, but he did bet on other sports. And that's what I'm getting from this. But then here's where it gets kind of not fishy, but it's like people are asking questions about this. Then he comes out and say, I want everyone to know Shohei had zero involvement in betting. I want people to know I did not know this was illegal. I learned my lesson. I will never do sports betting again. So basically he said in ESPN that Ohtani had no knowledge of his gambling debts after, and he had not transferred the money to the Bookmakers Associate. So what happened? I think it's the PR team, the legal team kind of did a terrible job with this whole thing. It makes Shohei Ohtani look bad, whether he is involved or he isn't involved. And the hope is that Shohei Ohtani, who is the poster child for baseball and who is the face of this sport and a lot of sports right now, is not involved in any way, shape, or form. And it was Ipe kind of acting on his own. But it doesn't look great right now because of that, because of the retracting the statements, going back and saying something else. And on top of that, it makes Shohei look bad. My question is this: why would a guy, and people could bring up the Michael Jordan thing, but I'm just asking this question: why would a guy who is set to make $750 million, why would he illegally gamble or bet or have anything to do with that, other than trying to help out a friend? We've all tried to help out our friends before. People who have been in need and try to lend a hand. Maybe this was Shohei's way of trying to lend a hand and, pay off his debt. But again, all speculation. What's coming from the article, it's crazy what happened and that his name's even linked to it. And it is tough right now for the sport of baseball because the hope within the fan bases, the hope within just people who love the sport and love Shohei Ohtani was that he wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form illegally. And it's not going to be a black eye on him like it was for Pete Rose going forward.
Well, and so help me understand this a little bit too, because like the way that I'm trying to understand is that like if what Rocco's saying is true, is there any harm in that? Like, what's the optics? Is it more along the lines of like, oh well, Ohtani gave him money to place bets for him? Is that what the accusations are starting to turn into, or is it like, well, he shouldn't have just given him money in the first place? The other side of this is that like Ohtani's, I guess, PR team or what have you are saying that like Ipe was committing theft, which I'm not quite sure how that even happens. I don't know how you like say, hey, I won $4.5 million, and you don't know what happens with it. So like again, obviously there's a whole lot that still needs to be uncovered, but there's still so much that just is very confusing to me right now.
Yeah, Brad, and like you said it, like I want to ask you this, man, like who has access to the numbers on your bank account? Who can make transfers for you through your bank account? Is it you?
Right.
Is it somebody else? Like you personally, not Shohei Ohtani. It's like if you are a multi-million-dollar superstar, who actually has access to your funds other than you? That's a question that I want to know, because if your interpreter, your translator, no matter if he's your best friend or not, my friends don't have access to my bank account, nor will they ever. Like they're not going to want like a couple $1,000s, but it is what it is.
They're not getting the 4.5 mil out of you.
That is it. Yeah, man. But that's the question that a lot of people are asking. Like, why does this guy, like, if it's theft, if that's what we're talking about, and that is simply the case, how did he gain access to those numbers? How did he get access to take those funds from you and use them on illegal gambling? And at what point did you see, okay, there's $4.5 million gone from my account? Like, I mean, normal people out there are looking at their bank accounts like probably like once a day, once a week, I don't know, a couple times a week, and just saying like, oh, there's money gone. But I don't know, man. It's a crazy situation right now. I have no clue what's going on.
I would assume Shohei has some sort of financial advisor, especially when you sign a $700 million contract. But like you said, Rocco, somebody had to notice this was gone, and now it's to the point of, was Shohei, because I honestly doubt Shohei checks his personal account like that often. I'm sure he has people that let him know what's going on, but I don't see him sitting on his app on his phone and going, let me check to see, you know, if dinner came out of my out of my account or not. Yeah, like make sure they charge the right for
my
dinner.
DoorDash come out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's just
Yeah,
so
there's
many
just so much
there's so
unknown.
many things in this point. Yeah, it could just be a buddy paying off a friend. Brimey,
Yeah,
it's true.
and that's
Ohtani
what we don't.
Ohtani is claimed to have given the bookie cash to square away his debts. That's apparently Brandon. What human racks up $4.5 million in losses as well? That's like
it. He said it spiraled. That's
Well,
what.
no shit.
I mean, no
Yeah.
shit. It's
So
not.
apparently,
Yeah,
he
and-
said it was like $1 million over the course of a year, and then he was trying to get it back.
Yeah, and here's something to kind of keep note
And
of
then
as well.
last point here,
thing,
Rock,
I
and we'll
know,
move
'cause
on.
it's a lot because I was trying to put this into a 30-second script yesterday, and it was tough, man, because it's a lot to like unravel and talk about. But evidently, Boyer, this guy who's the illegal bookmaker who's under the federal investigation, he told his clients that Ohtani was a client of his, knowing that he wasn't, because he saw the name pop up in like the transfers, evidently. But when it came out, he said that he has never been in contact with Shohei Ohtani once. Something along those lines of like, we've never been in communication. I've never talked to him. I've never received money from him or anything. But he saw the name Shohei Ohtani, I guess, and was telling his clients, hey, like, he's a big hitter. Like he's a client, and business is booming at that point. If Shohei Ohtani is a client, like, you know, that's what he was telling people.
Yeah, we will. This is not the end of this story, no doubt about it. But baseball kicked off. They had the 2 games in Korea. That again, the schedule of it.
Yeah,
because now they played.
Get me started.
They played the two games over there. Both teams now, the Dodgers and Padres, are 1-1. They split the series. They are going to come back to America. They're going to play some exhibition games, and then they're going to start the season again, or I guess they're going to continue their season when the rest of opening day squares off on March 28th. Squaring off in Baltimore, guys, March 28th, Thursday, against the Angels. We're 1 week away. We're less than 1 week away, technically, if we're going by hours, what it's going to take. So
what are your thoughts on that, Ryan? Like
About-
with the whole baseball season starting before spring training's over, and even before their spring training's over, like, could this have been executed better? You know what? I appreciate that, like they're in Korea and trying to get, you know, kind of do the NFL thing and really get the MLB out internationally, but like it just kind of feels as if the execution of this was just way off to me.
Yeah, I think the more I thought about it, there's no other time to go and do it if you're going to do this during the season. It has to be in the beginning. You're not going to do this during the regular season.
Yeah.
You're not going to do this at the All-Star break or coming out of the All-Star break. It's too much. Actually, thinking about it more, if you're going to have them come back, it's nice that you're going to let them come back and the games aren't going to matter that they're going to play. It just is a different structure of how it all is. I think that's just the weird part, is that 2 teams now are 2 games done. They got 160 left while everyone else has 162, but none of those are going to matter for a week. I think that's just that optics of it. But I don't think there's any other time that they can do it. You know, if they want it to be meaningful games, which they do, they want more and more games to be meaningful in different countries to keep growing the game. So if I'm a player, though, I'm glad I'd be able to come back and say, hey, I get a couple days to try to reset, because that trip back is, if you think traveling, you know, across country is one thing, everything else is going from Korea back, get acclimated, and then you still got to get ready for 160 games. That's a long way. And they're going to have an extra off day. So time will tell. But hey, you know who loves playing in Korea? Fucking Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts.
Not
balled.
Yamamoto.
Nick, did you see how well? Yeah, Yamamoto did not pitch well. Did you
I
see-
briefly saw some of it. Yeah.
So it's, for those that know, Mookie had 7 RBIs, I believe, in the 2 games. He is off to a great start. He's my pick to win the NL MVP this year. Yamamoto pitched second game, not his best
inning.
1 inning, 5
runs.
earned runs. I'm not worried long term, to be honest, but the first start, that's not the way that you want to start off your big league career. But I guess things could have been a lot worse given the fact of everything that's been happening with the Dodgers in the last 24 hours. And I think the Yamamoto news wasn't as much because of the Ohtani. What you got, Zach?
I just thought it was hilarious that underneath all the posts about Yamamoto's start were all these Yankee fans, and they're like, God, we dodged a bullet. Thank God we have Cashman knows what he's talking about. This guy, man, they're like, thank God we're good with who we have. Stroman was a way better pickup. It's like give the guy a chance. This is his first time pitching in an actual major league game. It's kind of like still spring training for him. Just let it happen. Like you said, over the course of the season, I think he's going to
You're
do
trying
really
to
well.
approach this with reason.
Yeah, no,
That's your first
guys
problem.
sucks.
Which all Yankees fans do.
Yeah.
Approach things with
Mo-
reason.
I don't think any
guys are
baseball
reasonable.
fan approaches anything with reason ever.
No,
A whole lot of overreaction.
Well, we're going to have some reactions right now. Why don't we do this? And before we do this, Don, as always, big supporter of the show. Don,
there he is.
Don.
There he is.
Back
What a
at it
guy.
again, Don. Appreciate you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Don, thank you,
man.
as
Thanks, Don.
always. And Don says, sucks about Ohtani. He's good for the game. I know one thing, our boys, meaning the Orioles, are playing Mario Kart, not the ponies. They are all good kids. Go O's. And they are some good kids. They are on their Nintendo fix down there. I think the Super Strikers, Cedric was telling us, Rock, that he prefers Mario Double Dash than the regular N64 Mario Kart. That'll be for a whole different discussion. But spring training is wrapping up. We're a week away. We're almost done. And I think the biggest news that came out for Orioles fans was the rotation was officially announced, which I don't think necessarily is a surprise if you looked at it that closely. And there's one name that's added, which I think as a poll, as a panel here, we all believed he'd be on the team, but it's making people panic. That's Jorge Mateo. Has been at least reported that Jorge Mateo is going to be a Baltimore Oriole to start off the season. Where do we want to start with this? Do we start with the rotation first off and try to break this down? And there it is from Rock Kabatko. Orioles rotation order is going to be Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Tyler Wells, Dean Kramer, and Cole Irving. And also he noted that Jorge Mateo made the club.
Panic. Season's over. Panic. Throw it all out.
Guy's a bum.
It was a good season.
Yeah.
It was a good season.
I'm glad we got the hype from it. But if you look at Orioles Twitter right now, unfortunately, Jorge Mateo being on the team, no one else can make the team.
You know
That's
those,
what I
you know
got
those
from it.
videos when it's like I forget, like Carmelo Anthony got traded to the Hawks one time and then he got bought out immediately. And it's like
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony Hawks highlights, and then the next clip's just thanks for watching. That's the Orioles season. 2024 Orioles
Thanks
season.
for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Jorge Mateo makes team. Thanks for watching. That's how
What
Twitter's
a reference
reacting.
This is Mateo's the Kathleen Kennedy of the Orioles. Good Lord.
I want to talk about this real quick with Mateo, then I'll dive back into the rotation. Jorge Mateo is a guy that they love, truly love, and we talked about he's a talented player, and you've been around, and Nick and I have seen it a ton playing in the minor leagues and going up. So many players have talent. Mookie, or not Mookie, you played with Mookie, Nick, but Jorge Mateo is one of those guys that has all the talent in the world. He's shown the flashes even at the highest level, but his consistency is the part that hasn't been there all the time. He was an unbelievable player in April last year, not the same player the rest of the way, but he's not asked to be the Orioles everyday guy. And I think he's understanding that role more. He's fast as hell. He can wreak havoc on the base pass, and he gives you flexibility, especially in the infield and now in the outfield. So that's where it stands. And I think that people need to understand that Jorge Mateo is going to be a fixture with the Orioles, and that's going to affect some other plans, but he has earned that right, and people have to be okay with that. The prospects, if they aren't on the team, the certain ones, it's coming. The time's coming. Because I think everyone's freaking out with that is because what does that mean for Jackson Holliday? Is Jackson Holliday going to be on the starting, or is it going to be in the Orioles starting roster or being the starting second baseman? I think everyone jumps right to that conclusion, right? Because now everyone's calculating moves, but I don't know about you guys. I thought Mateo was a lock for the team. I always thought he was a lock.
Yeah, I mean, especially once they started giving him opportunities in the outfield, and he was thriving there, and obviously batted over, I think it was 343 so far over spring training. And they, like you said, they love him. They love the versatility he brings, the base running ability. I mean, he is a menace. Anytime he is on the base paths, he is going to make something happen. And it's hard to get rid of someone like that who is okay with coming off the bench, who is okay with being a utility player, and is one of those guys that is literally telling higher than them. I don't care if you put me at second, at short, in center field, in one of the corner outfield spots. He just wants to help the team however he can. And it's hard not to keep a guy that's that versatile and can help you in that many ways.
I agree. Now let's switch to the other side. The one thing that I saw Joe say right here. So if you're listening to this, we do this on Mondays and Thursdays, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and hit that like and subscribe button. But Tyler Wells now is being the third starter. And actually, I'll bring on friend of the show, friend of the program here, bring Rock back on, because people that actually we've all interacted with Tyler here.
Oh, yes.
We got, and on many ways, more than one. But
Rip
Nick,
After Dark.
Well, he hasn't fully experienced the full Rip After Dark there.
Remember this?
How can we forget? No, we can't forget that. But Tyler Wells, Nick, you spent some time with him. Rock and I saw him during spring training. Tyler's a goofy dude. I mean, you guys are kind of like brothers that were from another mother at times. But he's got a really good demeanor. He's got a really good outlook on the game itself. So maybe just touch a little bit on the fact that, and then Rock will bring you back on from what you saw down there. But Wells is confident, and I think he's ready to go to prove himself in 2024.
Yeah, I think he is. I got a chance to spend time with him at the AFC Championship game. Got dinner with him right before he headed off to Sarasota. You know, I think Tyler's a great guy. Super great personality. I think, you know, he a little disappointed in last year. Had a really great start to the season last year. The first half was, you know, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Second half didn't start out so well, obviously up and down a little bit. So that can, as you know, Rip, playing in the minor, changing teams like that is very difficult. But I think this year he felt, you know, he was very confident when I talked to him. He was excited about the opportunity, wasn't sure kind of what his role was going to be. You know, said he wanted to be a starter. Wasn't really sure what their plans were for him. Obviously it worked out. He's going to be the number 3 right now to start the year, but everything I've seen, you know, talking to him last week, I think he's, you know, done really well over spring training, and has a lot of confidence moving into 2024. And this is a really good piece for him, building that confidence, getting ready to go.
Yeah, we were his bad luck charm to end his run. We went to the Dodgers game,
him, and it was either us or the Dodgers lineup. So
it was one of the two. So maybe your boy Mookie was a big part of that too. But it is what it is. It's a part of it. But Rock, we got to see him down there and see him in action, or as far as talking to him off it and talking about his action in spring training. His stuff looks good. He looks in command. And ultimately, I think that he's ready for that type of role. And we haven't seen anything else from Tyler Wells that doesn't make us feel he's going to be that pitcher that he was, especially in the first half last year.
No, and he's embracing this new role as well. I think Tyler Wells really wants to be a starting pitcher. He just strikes me as that. He's up for any role they throw at him, whether it's in relief, whether it's, you know, tying up the back end of the bullpen or as a starter. But I think when we see Tyler Wells, he looks most comfortable when he is a starting pitcher. In spring training, and I know it's spring and there's going to be overreactions a lot of the time, but Tyler Wells in 3 starts has played some fantastic baseball. 2-0. He's got a 1.69 ERA in those 3 games he started. And it's so on brand for Tyler Wells, but he's given up 2 home runs, and I think they're both solo shots. And that was the Tyler Wells special last year. And that's not a knock. It's basically a testament to, okay, Tyler Wells is not giving up home runs when he gets guys on base. He's doing it. It's just, all right, maybe he missed a spot, or maybe a guy just got, you know, a good barrel on a baseball. Tyler Wells has been great down in spring training. It does not surprise me at all that he is one of the starters. We talked about it, Rip. For the rotation starting opening day. It's going to look a lot different, though, going forward, depending on what happens with Bradish, with Means, if either of those guys are available earlier in the season to pitch. But for Wells, I mean, kudos to him. He's worked his tail off to get back there. I think getting sent down last season really helped him out, and he was able to build confidence back and get to where he is now. So big congrats to him, friend of the program, being in the starting rotation. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, he expected it. He expected with the injuries and what's going on that he needed to be ready to do that again. And it was kind of alluding to that. Like, he was preparing to be a starter, and he's ready to prove the narrative wrong. Well, he doesn't think that he was tired last year. He thought that just he got a little bit out of sync, and mechanically it might have caused him to be more fatigued or whatever you want to say. But for Wellesley, he looks good. He looks confident. And quite frankly, the Orioles are going to need him. And actually, we're going to have this question here for a second after. Before we get to the question, Brad, you got to pull up real quickly?
Yeah. So it's not related to Tyler Wells at
Yeah,
all,
but we want to just keep it going.
Yeah. Who will be the NL MVP this year? Now, obviously, we know that Ronald Acuna Jr. just ran away with it last year, and it wasn't even a question as to who the MVP should be. He's also favored to win it again this year, according to FanDuel. But right now, in the YouTube poll here, it's Mookie Betts at 50%. Freddie Freeman is at 8%. Ronald Acuna Jr. is still at 25%, and then Shohei Ohtani comes in at 17%. Yes, 3 of these people are on the Dodgers. But which is just crazy that when I was going through the list, it's just unbelievable.
Is there even are there any other teams in the NL besides the Braves and the Dodgers?
Yes,
it sure doesn't seem that way. Fernando Tatis Jr. is also kind of in the mix as far as
he's a good player,
potential NL MVP. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just so many ridiculous players in the Dodgers right now. But I know that Ryan, that you kind of have Mookie in there as your favorite to win it.
Mookie's my MVP favorite.
But if Ronald Acuna Jr. has the same, anywhere near the numbers he had this year as he did last year, like I don't know who beats him.
If he has 70 bags and it's 40 jacks and it's 330, he's going to win the MVP again. No doubt.
I mean,
about
2 years
it.
in a row would be the first ballot, like guaranteed. Just put him in right now. Like,
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
like 40 and 70 is just unheard of.
Insane.
Once, let alone twice in a row.
And last year, Mookie's year, if you look at it more closely, it would be an MVP year. He finished second.
Yeah.
It was just because Acuna Jr. was that damn good, and that Braves lineup was so damn good. But you're right, Rock. Bryce Harper's a guy that you're wondering. He's been quiet. He's one of the best players. He could be a sneaky one that we can throw in. So a lot to watch, a lot to see. Before we dive in, because this was a conversation, at least that we just talked about with pitching, but I know it's a hot, spicy topic with Orioles fans, because we're going to talk about it here. And then we'll wrap it up and get out of here. I think we'll save the breakdown for a different time. It's long day, long night. How you guys feeling? You feeling okay back there?
I'm good.
Well, I hope all of you listening are feeling good. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. It's on X. It's on YouTube. We do this live every Monday and Thursday. We are going to change up a couple things next week going into opening day because of what's happening. Opening day is going to be a day game. Probably hard for us to do the stream later on, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, if you're ready, we know we haven't done this yet, but we got to do it. It's time to take a ride on our Adams Jeep around.
I was going to show off the
We can,
and then
we can ride the Jeep. Ride the Jeep. And Kevin is
The
milking the
mic
cow.
stand is in my way, so you got to give me a break.
Oh, just move it.
just move.
There.
it.
Okay,
yeah. I don't
all
know
right, now
why
we're
you
good.
love to
Now
have
we're
that
good.
thing right in your face.
Also, real quick, MVP NL, Fernando Tatis. Let's get bold.
Both of you do. You like it just. You got to be right up on it.
you
The
gotta be-
proximity
I'm like-
effect.
Yeah.
Zach loves that.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Nick, what'd you say what'd you say earlier?
About
Oh.
He said some
I said a
weird
lot of
shit
things
earlier.
earlier.
I don't think that's
We
what
do
we're
not
talking
need to
I
repeat what
said
Nick
a
said
lot of
earlier.
Rip
things
after
today.
dark.
Rip After
Shit.
Dark is definitely going to be a program here. Oh,
Probably be the
wait,
first
wait a minute.
episode on
Look at
that.
this guy riding.
Hey, there you
What
go.
is that? Who drives
You
it?
get, you give me flack for my form, and you see, okay,
Riding
that's
dirty now. We're riding dirty.
There you go.
Kevin, your form is being studied by the
It
top
is
scientists.
improving though, right?
Kevin, you'd be great on a
Being
farm.
Studied,
It's-
studied by milk farmers.
Yeah.
Well, it's you go by the 10 and 2.
Milk
So
farmers,
you always
dairy
got to go with the
farmers, my
classic, the
mistake.
10 and
Not
2.
10 and 2.
Eventually, so
That's 10 and that's
This-
what 3 and 9.
Yeah, 3 and 9 is this year.
10 and 2.
This is 12 and 12.
Oh,
You're up here.
Have
It's
you
like
ever driven
11:45
10-2?
and 12:15.
Is that how you drive?
No,
I drive.
I don't think I've ever used two hands
You
on the wheel. in
drive
my
the
life,
6,
other
the
than
6,
other than my driving test.
the 6. You get just
Kevin, what the?
I just put my
who
left hand.
drives
Did
like
he re-
this?
I put
What
the
kind of
steering
car
wheel-
do you
no,
have?
I
the
do.
camera-
Yeah, sometimes I
camera
do
just on him
underneath.
when he
It
did that?
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to redo what he just did, but I'm gonna.
I was
It was just like
how to
Now
drive-
that Brad said it, I'm not gonna.
I was demonstrating how to drive a car.
All right, let's
Good kid.
sure.
So our friends at Adams Jeep of Maryland are our proud sponsor of the Ryan Ripken Show, and as you saw behind, we'll show it again. There's our lovely sign of Adams Jeep of Maryland. They are great. You need service parts, you're trying to buy a car, they're the go-to. And actually, the deal that they have going on, we're posting it more on.
I love Stackhouse.
Well, before we, he is great. But before to finish that bit here, is that if you want to go and buy a pre-owned car, okay, and we have it up on social media and we'll share it on Instagram, you go to Adams Jeep. You don't necessarily have to buy a Jeep. They have other pre-owned vehicles that are not Jeep cars. But here's the catch. If you go there and you buy a pre-owned vehicle, you get a $500 gas card from them if you mention that you watch Ryan Ripken and the Ryan Ripken Show. That's it. That's all you got to do. If you buy a car, you need a car, you say where you're listening, where you got it from the Ryan Ripken Show, you get a $500 free gas card. There it is.
Boom. Damn, we said.
What if you go up and mention
Yeah,
Ryan
that QR
Ripken and
code.
the Ryan Ripken Show? Do you get a $500 gas card, Ryan?
I might. You're
Go up
darn
and say,
right.
"Hi, I'm Ryan Ripken. Nice to meet me." From the Ryan
Okay.
Ripken Show.
All right, can we kick Rock off the
Jesus
screen?
Get him
Right.
off
See
the
ya.
screen.
There we go.
What a fucking corn dog.
We
Usually
got-
it's you. It definitely rocked tonight.
Can't say what I was about to say. That's for Rip After Dark. Let's get into my Orioles question here for a second, okay? Because this has been swirling. I've been asked this quite a bit. Everyone freaked out that Cano got lit up last night. Obviously, we know about the pitching depth. The odds in your guys' minds will do 0 to 100% that the Orioles go out and make a mild to big move during the first end of spring training or the first month of the season.
Mild the big
First
move
month.
regarding like a trade or
Yeah.
acquisition.
Yeah, what do
Is
you
that what
I'd
we're
say
talking
yes. So like they say people are saying they need another arm. What are the odds that the Orioles go and get it on a percentage wise, 0 to 100,
5.
You're saying the first month of the season?
or right when spring training ends, within this month period? Zach,
No one significant. I don't see any significant move being made. I mean, now we could see something like we've talked about this before, Danny Coulomb type, where someone who doesn't make a team elsewhere that they like, they like the analytics behind. I could see them grabbing someone off waivers, but I don't really see them making a move where they would be either trading prospects or a guy. I see so many people want Ramon Urias, Austin Hayes. Like, they're not going to trade any of those guys right off the bat. So I don't think anything significant happens.
Yeah, I think it's 0 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the best team in the league last year, and we didn't have Corbin Burns. The Orioles needed help with pitching, and they still need some of that. But I don't think it's worth making some big move before the season starts. I would say that the higher likely percentage is let's see how they do in the first few months. Let's see how they do by the All-Star break, and then we're going to make a move if it makes sense to do so. I just don't see how Michael Elias hasn't been that kind of guy.
He's not going to panic.
That kind of GM. So right now, when we've been talking about it, the good problem to have is that he doesn't know which players him and Hyder don't know which players to start.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they do, but like it's definitely a tough decision. So like I don't think there's any reason to panic, and I don't think there's any reason to start making some trades right now because it's just too early. Let's see what the team looks like first, and then go from there.
Yeah, and I think it's 0 too. I mean, also I think with the injury situation, the Orioles are in a really good spot in terms of just having guys you can bring up. I mean, what if they make a move? They need pitching depth. I think that especially in the back end there. But what if they trade for a guy and then all their outfielders get hurt? Knock on wood, nothing like that happens, obviously. But what if a couple infielders go down and you've traded away your infield for what if Norby goes and that's a guy who you need? So I know that they have guys waiting in the wings, but I would give it a month or two, maybe even more so towards the trade deadline before we see a big splash like that happening, because it does come down to how you're feeling, how guys are doing. And it's just better, I think, to evaluate over the first couple of months because you already have the depth. And now it's just a matter of who sticks with you. And I think you need time to determine that.
Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Kevin's right. I think they're in a good spot right now. You got to give them a chance to see what happens. Let them flourish at the beginning of the year. If anything comes, if they need to make a move, going into the trade deadline, then they have plenty of prospects to do it.
And we've seen also too, Nick, just being in pro ball, when the team breaks or whoever they're going in with, they made the team, they earn the right for what it is right now,
100%.
and then they're going to figure out.
From a player, yeah, absolutely. You put in the work. You went through the off season. You went through spring training. You've shined now. You made the roster. You need a chance to show what you got. And hopefully all the guys play great and they don't have to do anything. But the reality of baseball is eventually something will, not everybody can be great. That's just the reality of it. So we'll see what happens in the first month or two.
Yeah, we got some time on one of those guys. I think that Orioles fans were worrying about, and Rock bring you in because he's the former Philly Craig Kimbrell. Craig looked naughty last night in his outing. I don't know if everyone saw that. He won 1 inning, struck out the side, and Bryson Stott after she struck out. If you read his lips after Kimbrell just broke off a changeup, he just went, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
Like it was sitting there and he swung and missed. Had a lot of those moments too, by the way.
Really throw that a lot either, Rip, does he?
No, I don't think he hasn't thrown one in a
Like,
game in
2018 or something like that. I saw somewhere.
Mhm.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So guys are working on stuff that have been in the big leagues, and this is the
Say it
time to
ain't
do
so. Say it ain't
That-
so, Ryan.
That was filthy.
Who would have thunked that?
it. Who would have?
Who would have
Yeah.
thunk it?
That was filthy. And to strike out the side against his former team, I know it's spring training, but that had to feel good too. Honestly, for Craig Kimbrell, it was probably like, all right, yeah.
Is this,
got
are we
it.
going to see Craig Kimbrell of old, dude? Are we going to see him?
So-
are we going to see the old school?
That would be
So
sick.
that
Braves and
was
Red Sox, dude?
that was the first changeup Craig Kimbrell has ever thrown at a major league level, regular season, postseason, or spring
What?
training. Yes, I just read the article about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
that's insane.
15-year,
No wonder the guy
15-year
was
MLB
thrown
veteran. Oh, no wonder.
No
I would.
wonder. He
He
wasn't
didn't
even-
know he
wasn't on
had
the
that.
scouting report.
Yeah, that's why Stott, he made that
Wow.
face and had that reaction because he's like probably like faced him so many times during the Philly season. Like looking at
Yeah.
that, it's like, damn, dude. Like I'm not used to seeing that at all. Like where'd that come from?
Probably talking
cool.
to him last year. Craig's like, "No, I don't have that in my arsenal."
Yeah.
This season, he's like, "What the?" He's like, "What are you talking about?"
So this is the point, though, and talking to guys and seeing guys, this is what spring training means to certain guys,
Mhm.
right? Is get to work on something. Because
Yeah.
if you're thinking about throwing it, and Craig Kimbrell right there, that was pretty nasty. Imagine if he wanted to throw that pitch. It's another pitch in his arsenal, but he is not going to go. You know what? Game's on the line. The 9th, we're up 1 on the
Yeah, no.
Yankees. Let me throw a changeup that I've never thrown at the big
Or-
league level.
Or he does. I mean, so far 1 for 1. When they don't even know you have a changeup, apparently.
Yeah,
it's
but you're
unhittable.
going to throw it in spring training before you ever throw it in a regular.
Oh no,
season.
I'm not. I'm just saying I'm interested to see how often
Oh, he
it
puts
gets
that
used
into
because
his
I
stuff,
think
right?
it's something where even if he throws it just hell once a week, if people now
Yeah.
have to look out for that, that just it adds so much
Yeah.
more to him because we've seen his other dominant stuff when he's on his A game. If you even are now slightly threatened by the possibility that he has a borderline decent changeup
Mhm.
that you have to look at, it changes. It can change
Yeah.
your approach.
Hitters have to honor it. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
in football, and not taken away from baseball, but we onside kick 1 time a year or
Yeah.
do some surprise or whatever because the other teams now have to honor it because you have it in your repertoire.
Yeah.
Right.
He throws it once every week or 2 weeks or hell,
Yeah.
once a month.
It's why Harbaugh, I swear, runs
Yeah.
at least one fake punt every preseason.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
I think it's great for Kimbrell. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a 15-year guy. He's really trying to continue to stay in the league and play at a high level and be the closer that everybody wants him to be. And I think adding that in just adds another element to who you are as a player.
Would like to change up again, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
see
it
it.
is,
Zach-
it looks really good. Craig Kimbrell's
They don't
Him
even
just
know what
staring
it
at
is.
you. He's like, what?
He's like, what?
funny.
Kimbrell's
what just happened?
I can't tell you guys how many times.
Yeah.
Would like to change up again,
I can't
yeah.
tell you how many times
Whatever it
I
is, it
have
looks
that I have done that and then said after, "What the fuck was that?" As a hitter.
Oh, that was my
Nick,
staple, dude.
yeah,
Come on. Take it from a guy who struck out 130 times in one season. I promise you, it was my staple.
the how did that happen? Any golden
Zach,
sombreros?
What
Me?
article
Yeah.
did you? What article did you pull up? You pulled up like baseball. What was it? Because Jake Rill, who's the MLB.com guy for the Orioles, said, according to Baseball Savant, the only time Kimbrell has thrown a changeup in a regular season game was 9/26/2018. While with Red Sox, he got Jonathan
That's
VR
right,
to swing
yeah.
and miss in a pitch in a game versus the Orioles. Oddly enough, he's typically a 2-pitch guy, 4-seam fastball, knuckle curve.
Let me
So
find this
I don't know
article.
if that article, like, or one of these, but it's
Fake news.
regardless.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah.
throw it a lot, and if he did throw it once before, he has a 100% swing and miss ratio. So that's like pretty solid odds with that changeup. It's nasty stuff.
I think what we're figuring out with Kimbrel. Either way, he's thrown it once or no times at the big league level.
Yeah, it's like the Loch Ness monster, dude. He's got it. He might be there. He may not be there.
Just like a pitcher showing up with a random knuckleball.
I've seen
That's what I did. That's what I did when I was a star in the
Jesus.
little, doing little league baseball. I was I'd never pitched before. I knew how to throw nothing but a fastball, and it was a playoff game. Actually, my team didn't win a game prior to this, by the way. But
How do you get the playoffs then?
because in the little league, they let everybody in.
Everybody
In the league.
gets
They let everybody
participation
in.
trophies, yeah.
Exactly. But so it was 2 strikes, 2 outs. It was like not the last inning, I think second to last. And I just threw the ball straight up like Ephus, up in the air, landed right for a strike 3. I'll never forget that. That was the peak of my life, honestly.
Yeah,
Dude,
you know what? Good for you, man.
I want to cut this really short. But speaking of secret knuckleballs, their Orioles had a kid when I was coming through. He threw like mid to upper 90s.
Mickey Janis?
This was in
Mickey.
the minors. I don't even know if he ever made it to the big leagues. I have no idea what this guy's name is. He's a right-handed dude, white guy. He threw like mid upper 90s, like sitting. And this guy just one game decides he's going to throw a knuckleball as well. And I think he struck out I think he only pitched 3 innings. I think he struck out like 7 or 8 guys. And I was one of the victims. What do you do when you face a knuckleballer? They tell you scoot up and try to hit it before it breaks down. Well, the guy throws 100 miles an hour. You can't scoot up in the front of the box because you're not going to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he throws you a knuckleball when you're in the back of the box, you're not going to hit it.
That would be hell to be the catcher for that.
Oh,
Because
God.
they usually wear like a first baseman's mitt, don't they, for knuckleballers?
They
Because
do.
it,
It's a
Yeah,
special.
and now
big
you
net.
obviously have to go out with just a normal catcher's mitt because he's throwing in, and if it's nasty enough,
Yeah.
I know you're sitting back there as the catcher and you're like, well, got to try to catch this shit now. He's throwing 95, then it's just the
I
ball
wish I
going
knew
every-
this guy's name, bro.
So bad.
I would tell you would know him.
Yeah,
But
I probably would. So Mickey Janis, though, you guys brought up. What do you got, Rock?
No, I think Kevin's new name should be Ephus Ostriker. It sounds just like it's got a ring to it.
Oh, that's a good. I'll put that one. I have a list in my phone on my notes of all the names Stackhouse has called me. So
This
I'm
one was
gonna-
a top one.
Keep
I
them
will
coming,
say.
Stack.
So
Stackhouse.
it's Kevin
Jesus
Ostrich, Kevin
Christ, Kevin.
Oysterreicher, Kevin Oyster Shucker, Kevin Automatopoeia, and the new one is Kevin Organic Produce Farmer.
Yeah,
So
I saw that.
now
You
Rocco
just put
Rocco
that.
is saying
every fucking
Ephus Ostriker.
Ephus Ostrich.
There's
I'll
always
put it
something.
in
He's
here.
got 2 tonight.
Yeah, look at that. Look at
Two
that.
added
Sounds
two
like
to
a,
the-
Old man from like the 1300s.
Oh my god.
Wow, goodness gracious. Well, if you're tuning in, we appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. It's the Ryan Ripken Show. We do it Monday, Thursday. Sometimes we're going to change it maybe to another day, which possibly will be Sunday during the season. We're only throwing that out there so you guys know that. But make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe. Make sure you're listening. We got Ravens long snapper Nick Moore, future Pro Bowler in 2024 in the
Damn right.
building. Kevin Ostreicher, Brad Smith, Zach Bollinger. I'm your host, Ryan Ripken. We're going to wrap up here, guys. I think we're close to it. Final thoughts, just a couple of questions for the Orioles. Then I'll just run through really quickly. The McKenna situation. Look, I think we're going to do our final. The roster should be announced probably this weekend. And if it breaks earlier, maybe we come on and talk about it quicker. So McKenna obviously is an interesting case. Love the guy, but he's one of those guys on the outside looking in. Ramon Urias is going to be the question mark for a lot of people because you have a guy like Mateo. Do you keep both? And if you keep him as well, then that probably is going to tell you what could happen with Jackson Holliday. Am I missing any other thought with that, guys? Is that kind of the same gist? Thoughts?
I mean, I guess the other would be the Kauser, Stowers, Kerstead, I guess, debate
Yeah.
of who makes it, who doesn't. I think that's the other thing I've seen a lot on social media. So,
Yeah.
and I guess Holiday is the other big one, but that's a Rios conversation too.
Yeah, there's a lot with that. And I was telling you guys before, Nick knows this too. This is maybe a secret that we can share here on the Ryan Ripken Show, and then we'll get out of here on this one, is that sometimes, Nick, they just have things already decided, and spring training for certain guys does not matter
It's
at
like
all.
it's predetermined regardless of statistics and how they perform during spring training.
Yeah, like there are certain guys that
Mhm.
they already saying no matter what, you're on the team.
What's that
Yeah.
football too? I mean, you automatically know certain guys are going to be on the 53 man.
Oh, 100%. Especially when it comes to draftees and undrafted. It's the same. You give them the chance to make mistakes during spring training, knowing that they're already on the team. So I don't know if the players know it. You get a vibe. If you're a player, you get a vibe of who those people are, but it allows you to just kind of let them do their thing and kind of take away a little bit of the stress. But Rip's right. I mean, there so many times in baseball and in football, the guys you're like, how did this guy make the team?
Yeah.
So we had a saying, or one of my former teammates, one of the minor league coaches came up to they were worrying about something with the game. They didn't play well, or they weren't playing so well in spring training. One of the coaches goes up or hears them talking and goes up. He goes, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, we're just trying to turn the switch, get going during spring training. He goes, oh, you think spring training matters for some of you guys? He goes, that's funny. He goes, some of you guys are walking around with a red dot, like you're going to get, like it's a gun pointed at you. There's a red dot on your head. You just don't even know it yet, meaning you might be cut already before the team is. And I know that might be a darker reference, but that literally was it is. Some people, they go into the situation. Like when I got released in 16, I had a feeling that my fate was already done. That's for a whole different story going into spring training. And when you sit there and you kind of already know, I could have gone and hit 6 home runs. It wouldn't have mattered. There was one guy that hit 8 home runs in spring training in the minors, crushed it, was hitting everything well. Everyone's like, he's got to be on one of the teams released. Yeah. So, and that's.
I mean, I think we're seeing that this year. Unfortunately, as much as I've been very adamant on, I think he deserves a chance in the bigs and should get it, even if it's not in Baltimore. Kyle Stowers is doing everything humanly possible to get on this team. I mean, he's leading all of MLB in spring training home runs. He's got insane batting average, OPS, everything. I don't think it mattered. And that's what, like you said, that's the business side of it, is going into this. It didn't matter. I don't think if Kyle Stowers hit 091 or if he did what he's doing now, I just don't think they had a spot for him. And I don't think that changes. I think I've seen people saying, it's coming down between Stowers and Cowser and guys like that. And unfortunately, I don't think Stowers is in that conversation just because he's throughout the years hasn't performed at the major league level like other guys had hoped. And going into this, that one of those spots probably just wasn't for him.
Yeah, there's so many things, so many variables that go into it. And again, for everyone that wants to say, we had that debate last time about Santander and Hayes. You can't just automatically snap your fingers and replicate that guys that haven't been up there and done it are going to do it with guys that have already done it. That's the same thing with every draft class. Nick, with football, same thing. You draft a first, second rounder that has all this upside. Yeah, they might be asked to start, but at the same time, if they're going in as a pick and they're not living up to the expectations, you got to prove that you're better than the guy in front of you. It's with any sport. And if you're not good enough, you're not going to have that opportunity, or they don't expect you to have that kind of run at it, if that makes sense. That's like for Cedric, for Tony Taters, for Hayes, Mountcastle. Like Mountie, until he got hurt, Mountie was going to have 3 straight years of 20-plus bombs. That's so damn hard to do in the big leagues. So just the context of it, a lot of great talent, a lot of great guys. We will see what happens. Rock, any final thoughts, concerns, questions?
No, questions? I don't know. No, I'm good. I'm just going to shut my mouth. I've said enough this show.
Good idea.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, you're a good kid. Why don't we get out of here? Guys, we appreciate you as always. We have so much coming up here in this next week. We actually might have something special coming tomorrow, so stay tuned on that for any announcements. But we will be back on Monday for sure. We will be doing a special Orioles stream. Right now, we're thinking Wednesday because Lord knows Thursday is going to be a zoo down at Camden Yards opening day. It's going to be an all-day event. So we appreciate you. And for old time's sake, did you just remove Joe from the chat, Rocco?
Huh?
he moves in silence.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I never do anything like that.
You're a good kid. I'm sorry, Joe. Well, all right, let's get out of here. Nick, as always, thank you for joining us, man. Great guy. We got Twitterless Nick at Chaos Striker 34.
Yeah, there you go.
At Own the Chaos, at Zach Bollinger 18, at Rocco DeSangro, and at Ryan Ripken. And we'll cue the music and let's get on out of here.
Oh, baby.
This song's a vibe, dude.
It is. The beat drop is kind of hype.
It's just a default. we didn't even choose it.
Oh, gosh. Well, hey, for all of us here at the Ryan Ripken Show, as always, have a day, have a night, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you for a new edition of the Ryan Ripken Show very soon.
Peace.
Kevin, nothing stupid.
He did.